Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video to watch. I am living out everyone's worst fear right now of being on the internet without makeup on, but I have 5 kids under 5, so go easy on me. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about my conversion story of going from being like a non-denominational Protestant to becoming Catholic. And I've been Catholic for about 4 years now. This Easter will be 4 years. So it's been quite a journey, but again, only 4 years. And then before I was Catholic, I was actually like a non-denominational Protestant is what I would call myself when people asked. And just kind of church hopping, going to different churches, seeing what's out there. Throughout my journey, though, of becoming a Christian and exploring religion and faith, there was a lot about the Protestant faith that I think rubbed me the wrong way. And I was definitely one of those people that I had so many friends that I feel like they knew everything there was to know about Christianity and just all of the things, and I looked up to them so much. So every time that they would come to tell me, like, oh, you can't believe those Catholics are liars, they make you pay your way into heaven, and everything they say is false, and every time they call a priest father, they're idolizing him, and they worship Mary, and all of these things. And really, that was one of the main things that made me want to dig deeper into this, because here I am hearing all these awful, terrible things and about how they're all going to hell and they're not really Christians, and I say in my head, well, that doesn't really make sense. There's like millions, maybe 1 billion Catholics in the world. I don't even know. I don't know. There's a lot of Catholics, and it was like, you're telling me that the biggest religion in the world, it's all fake, it's false, it's a lie, there has to be a reason why millions of people are in this religion and they're following these things and they truly believe these things and they live them out. And that was what kind of got my interest peaked. The other thing was that looking into schools for my daughter whenever she was younger, we only had one at the time, but looking into schools, the only thing around us was Catholic schools, and there's not a lot of like Christian schools per se like around us. And so I thought, oh, like, well, if my child's gonna go to a Catholic school, like, I want to know what that means and what they might be teaching and all of these things. And I'd always had a bad taste in my mouth about the Catholic faith, part of it just being I used to go when I was younger with family, and I thought this is the most boring thing in the world and it's stupid and I don't want to be here, as teenagers and kids always do. And so that, in combination with all these things, led me on a journey of just exploring it and learning it, and getting really, really nitty-gritty and reputable sources that I'm getting this information from. Not some girl on Twitter and not, whatever quick Google search I'm doing, but like, I actually met up and I talked to a priest. I asked questions. I wanted him to explain everything that he could to me. And I would say, if you're questioning or wondering about the Catholic faith, don't be afraid to go ask a priest. Sit down, have a conversation, and they're actually really friendly. They're not going to get offended at your questions. They have been so helpful throughout that journey, as well as, reading different books that maybe I wouldn't have normally picked up, but I was like, sounds different, why not give it a try? So there was a lot kind of going on in my mind about how, oh, Catholics are evil and they're bad and this is awful. And then I get to this point in my faith journey where I just keep saying, this isn't enough. Like, I'm not doing enough for God. I feel like in the Bible, God lays out a very specific plan for how he wants us to worship him and how he wants us to follow him. And after I started learning about the Catholic faith, I signed up for RCIA, and I think it's called OCIA now, but it's basically a class that adults can take to learn about the Catholic faith, and if you would like to be brought into the Catholic faith at Easter, then you're more than welcome to do that. Otherwise, it's just a class you can take for knowledge. So you do not have to become Catholic. You don't have to be initiated into the Catholic faith by any means. Anybody is welcome to attend and participate in OCIA. So if you have questions, I think that's a really, really good place to start. But the thing that really just brought it home for me was I just felt like I wasn't doing enough for God, and I wasn't worshiping him the way that he asked to be worshiped. And I think on top of that, I always left these Protestant services feeling like, why was that all about me? Like, I get enough of all about me every day. I want something that's not about me. I want something that is outside of me that I can run towards and be motivated to move towards, and not just about myself, not about how I feel, not about what other people may be feeling. And that was one of the things that really led me to love the Mass and enjoy Mass, was because it wasn't about me. It was completely focused on worshiping God and all the things that God has done in our life. And it was not about me any longer. So going through RCIA, it's basically like a once a week, like hour-long class, most places, I think. So it's easy to attend. It's, you know, you're not going to get like completely overloaded with information. But there was one moment I remember when I first even became Catholic, or not Catholic, but even a Christian, when I was just laying in my bed and I was just thinking about how miserable I was and how life just was not what I pictured it being. And I just thought, you know what? Like, I give up. Like, I am letting go of the control of it all. I'm going to stop trying to be in charge of every single thing in my life. It's only hurting me. And I said, no, like, I'm going to open up to this and I'm going to try it. And maybe nothing will happen. Maybe nothing will come of it. But I felt such a calling to at least explore and to try. And I just had like this feeling that it was where I was meant to be headed. And so, I mean, I thank God for that moment all the time. And it was also just like seeing my friends' joy that they had, my Christian friends, and seeing how happy they were and how their lives had changed. And I mean, they were kind, they're funny, like Catholics and Christians are still hilarious. It was a lot of different things I think that was going on in my own brain. But I watched a lot of Lizzie Answers on YouTube, and I watched a lot of The Religious Hippie on YouTube, and I feel like watching those videos and having things explained to me in like a very elementary way that was easy to understand, easy to follow, but also had lots of sources to back it up, had, you know, the historical evidence behind them. And what it was for me, honestly, when I started becoming Catholic, I mean, even before, I had received all these messages from people and I thought they were so rude and they were condescending and they were mean and they were just trying to bully people. But, you know, saying that Jesus created the Catholic Church, he founded it himself, and I kept saying, like, y'all are nuts, you are crazy, get away from me, that can't be true. Come to find out, it is so true. And there's so much beauty in the Catholic Church, a church that has 2,000 years of history. And you go back to any Protestant denomination or, you know, sect, whatever you want to call it, you can trace it back to a person that founded it. The Catholic Church can only be traced back to Jesus and his words that he said there when he said, you know, I will build my church on this rock, meaning Peter. So you can trace the Catholic faith all the way back to Jesus, like the words coming out of his mouth. And we have kept very detailed records of all the popes that have come after Peter. And I think maybe some of them may be missing. I don't know, really, honestly. Not missing, but like I don't think we have like pictures of them or anything. I mean, that was like a very tumultuous time where people are literally being murdered for their faith everywhere and anywhere you can imagine. And once I started learning the history of it and how beautiful it was, where all the sacraments came from, where you can find all the sacraments in the Bible, all of the amazing miracles that have been associated with the sacraments, and I can't turn away from that. And then, of course, obviously, in the Catholic faith, we always believe that the Eucharist is the true presence of Jesus, and that sold it for me because, like, I'm sorry, but sitting in a Protestant church and they're like, oh yeah, just take this little sip of grape juice and take a little bite of this bread, and oh well, it's just a symbol. Well, if it's just a symbol, I don't want it. I don't want it. To heck with it if it's just a symbol. And ultimately, I think once I discovered that, there's no turning back at that point. I mean, you know, I remember reading a post about someone who asked their Muslim friend, or they were talking about the true presence of the Eucharist, and he said, well, what if you guys had something like that? And his Muslim friend responded, I would get on the floor and I don't know if I could get up because I would just be worshiping it. You know, like, there's so many beautiful things, and maybe we as Catholics take them for granted sometimes because we just think we'll always have access to them, or, you know, we'll do it again next week, stuff like that. And there's so much beauty in the Catholic Church, and I have to say, I felt a lot of shame and kind of embarrassed for asking questions about the Catholic faith because all of my friends were like, no, it's bad, it's evil, don't do it, don't look at it, you're gonna go to hell if you look into it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that when we go searching for God, we find answers. He will always reveal to us what he wants us to know, and that for me was really reassuring. I feel 100% that I am where God meant me to be. And that is always comforting when things are hard and when I have my own doubts, because it's not like you're never going to have any doubts ever again. So I just wanted to say, like, if you are interested in learning about the Catholic faith, or you are thinking about OSCIA or meeting up with a priest, and maybe you just want to know more, maybe you're like, should I be looking this up? I don't know. I just wanted to say, go for it. God is never going to punish you for asking questions and for seeking information. So that is what I would say to anybody that is interested in the Catholic faith. But coming from a Protestant denomination and then into the Catholic Church has been so eye-opening and so beautiful. You look at the history of the churches, the beauty of the churches, saints that have lived real lives, saints that have had issues and problems, and, you know, Saint Augustine, or Augustine, however you would like to say that, he had children with women, he had a lot of fun times before he became Catholic. He, you know, was part of a different religious cult thing that was going on at the time. I mean, these are not people that are perfect. And I think that's what people think of when they think of saints. And these are our role models that we have to cheer us on and to look out for us. People that are real, people that have real problems, people that were not perfect. What made them a saint was that they never gave up and that they chose to love over everything else. So you do not have to be perfect whatsoever to be Catholic. I know I'm not. But there are so many sacraments that Jesus gave us in the Catholic Church, and that is completely to fill our souls and to feel him, to grow closer to him, and to help us get back up whenever we do fall, because we're gonna. So if you're interested in learning more about the Catholic Church, I highly, highly encourage it, and, you know, I'm here to answer any questions that people might have. But, I mean, I'm so in love with my Catholic faith, and even just trying to practice it well as much as I can has been such a journey, and I think it really has made me grow a lot as a person, as a mother, as a wife, and it always leaves me striving for more. So I'm so in love with my Catholic faith. I am so beyond grateful that I became Catholic. So yeah, if you guys have questions about it that you think I may know the answer to, please feel free to ask. But yeah, I just wanted to share my little story about coming into the Catholic faith. And I've met so many amazing people along the way, so thank you if you're one of those people. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys, give some encouragement, and, you know, I don't want any, like, you know, fighting between Protestants and Catholics, because I think we're all here to serve God and we all love God, and that should be our main focus.